Hi everyone. Hello. 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 Can everyone hear? I hope everyone can hear. Okay, good. So I'm assuming this is the diploma batch 12. So based on okay, is this Arsha? Arsha, are you the host?
Yes, miss.
I need to share the screen. I think you might have to make me the host. Okay, thank you. Okay. So let me share the screen with you all. So hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing the lecture for your batch after so many months, and I hope you all remember what I taught you all before. All the modules that we've done, intro, developmental, child psychology, therapies, and everything. So I would like to ask you all questions, but first I will start with today's lesson, and as we go on, I will do a recap on what we have done before. So today we are doing counseling therapies, psychotherapy skills. Okay, I hope you all can see the screen. Screen sharing is paused. Okay, let me see. Can you all see the screen? Can't see. Stop as a share. Okay, hold on. Okay, I hope you all can see the screen. So I have briefly discussed with you all before about some of the disorders with disorders in children. Okay, and I would have also discussed about some of the other mental health illnesses like depression, OCD, schizophrenia, and so on. So as mental health professionals, counseling is one of the main therapies that we do. So you all know what counseling is. It's basically a talk therapy, right? So there are two types of counseling, directive and non-directive. So as counselors, you all must be knowing that we do non-directive counseling. So who are these people doing directive counseling? Are the student counselors? Hold on. Oh, this is your first class.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what batch is this? Batch 12?
Batch 12, yes.
Okay, so you all haven't done any lecture before, or is it the first one with me?
First one with you, ma'am.
This is the first one with
yeah.
you, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the other modules you all have done so far?
Hold on, ma'am.
Because I was told I'm doing a batch that I already did and I have to continue from where I stopped. So
At
I'm
last,
sorry
we did
about that.
learning disorders, ma'am.
Okay, when did you all start?
July.
July.
July, August, September, October. Okay, so have you all done intro to psychology?
Yeah.
And what
Yeah,
else have you all done?
We have done.
psychology and mental health.
So you all have done intro to psychology and mental health.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, under mental health, what have you all done?
But your tute is very different, ma'am. That means what you have given.
I haven't sent you all a tute before.
No, this one, what you have shared in the screen, it was real different.
Different in terms of?
That means what we get from the class and this one, your one is different.
Okay, what is the difference?
There's a
How can I?
slide, ma'am. We got before slide.
The slide.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
one is better? You all want it PowerPoint format?
No, this is fine. Okay.
This is okay.
It's
Okay.
fine, whatever.
Okay, let me reconfirm. So I was told you all have done intro to psychology, developmental psychology, counseling, fields of counseling, counseling processes, social issues, mental health. Have you
Yeah.
all done all those? Girls,
No, ma'am.
you all haven't done. Okay, so because I was told you all were done all those, and I have to start with introduction to psychotherapy skills. So assuming you all have done, I'm starting this. So you all only have done intro and mental health, no?
Yeah, and the learning disorders.
Learning disorders under child psychology or just only learning disorder?
Just
On the
only
learning
learning.
disorder.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so before we start counseling and therapies, hold on, let me check if you all have child psychology. By any chance, any one of you have the module guide with you all now? Anyone having it at the moment? Do you all have child psychology in your diploma? Girls? Okay, Hannah, do you all have child psychology?
I think no.
No. Okay, so you all did
Syllabus
learning.
structure is no. There's no such child psychology.
Okay, so learning disorder you all just did additionally.
Yeah, but we
Yes.
learn child psychology.
Um,
Yeah, in learning disorders, I think like some few included, I think like child learning disorder and everything.
okay, it's kind of confusing. Anyway, since it's the first step, because I was given different instructions based on what you all have done, so it's different. After discussing with you all, I understand you all have done only introduction to psychology and mental health, whereas I was told you all have covered 7 modules so far, and I have to start with introduction to psychotherapy skills. So anyway, today I will do this, and I will discuss with Arsha on what is on the recent
Ma'am, we
module.
got the modules, but after this current situation, we didn't do some modules, and the lecturer was not that
Yeah,
comfortable for
last.
us. That means
Okay.
that's the thing
So
happens for us
okay,
because
so
this
last week,
4 months it's going to
yeah,
yeah
last week was it your batch that I had to cancel?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
yeah
let
he
yeah
can
our
say.
batch.
okay, okay. So I'll get in touch with Arsha because giving the money is not enough if the lecturer hasn't done it. So I will discuss with her and I'll get the latest update on what you all have to continue. Okay. So
Okay,
for the
ma'am.
moment, we will start with counseling and therapies. It's not very complicated. I will teach you all step by step. If you all have any questions, please ask. In between, you all can just ask. No problem. Okay. So I will start now with this. So, so count. Hold on. So as you all can see, there is a brief introduction on what is counseling. So the description says a professional assistance and guidance in resolving personal or psychological problems. It is also known as talk therapy. So as I told before, there are two major types of counseling, directive and non-directive. So as counselors or psychologists or even psychotherapists, our role is to do non-directive counseling. So as you all will understand, non-directive means we don't give instructions, we don't direct a person to do anything, right? So you all must be knowing student counselors, career guidance counselors, or even visa counselors. There are many counselors today, right? Even when you go to an institute, there are many student counselors who will tell you what to do. They will tell you, okay, you have to do the HND, then do the BSc, and then you can do the master's. So they are student counselors. They are telling us what to do. So people who are telling us what to do, they are doing directive counseling. They are directing us to a certain area. But as mental health counselors, we will not tell a person what to do. Instead, we will allow them to talk. We will listen. We are active listeners. We will listen and we will go through their problem with them. From their point of view, we are allowing them to find solutions on their own. So as I explained, you all will understand this better. But please know the two major divisions: directive counseling and non-directive counseling. So directive is you're giving instructions, but as counselors, we are not ordering or giving instructions to our clients. So it is a process of talking about and working through an individual's problems or issues. So obviously you all know a person comes to counseling or therapy with a problem, right? I think 1 in a million would come and share happy news and say, oh my God, I graduated. I'm so happy. I want to talk to a counselor. But 99.9% of the people, they come saying, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm depressed, I have this issue. So we are dealing with people's problem on a daily basis. So problems could vary from a mild headache up to a client with a suicidal thought. So counseling empowers and helps to address the problems in a positive way by helping to clarify the issues. Of course, we allow them to explore the options and develop strategies and increase self-awareness. So all these, we are allowing our client to do it on their own. We are standing as a support system for them. Okay, so we are not telling them what to do. Instead, we are empowering them to find solutions to their problem on their own. So if I ask one of you, why do we have to go to a counselor? Why can't we talk to your neighbor? Right? So I told you counseling is talk therapy. It's also known as talk therapy. So talking means we can even talk to our neighbor. Okay. So Amani, if I ask you, why would you suggest someone to go to a counselor instead of asking her to talk to the neighbor? Just give me your opinions. There are no right or wrong answers. Why would you suggest someone to go to a counselor?
Hi. Sorry if I'm wrong. This is my first class and I don't know anything about the class.
Okay.
I start the class end of October, so I'm really, really new.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm
Just
wrong, okay?
roughly, do you have any idea?
Yeah,
Okay, why? Because I'm definitely not gonna judge you all by your answers because we're all here to learn. Every day we are learning. So just tell me your opinion. That's fine.
so I think people should go to, people go to council because sometimes if you're not stable in your mentally,
Mhm.
then you don't know what you should do. So you're supposed to go to counselor to get the advice rather than go to someone, your friend or someone else.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, good. Good answer. But I will explain your answer. Okay, so Hannah, what do you think? Why would you recommend someone to go to a counselor?
Uh, we can't talk to everyone with a confident and beliefs.
Yes.
So counselors won't tell anything to anyone. So we can trust them and go to them.
Okay, good answer. What about Matu? I think your name is Matu. Okay, Amna.
Yeah, my answer is it's sometimes the people can't take decision at any right time. Sometimes
Yes.
they may be get confused, and it's better to go for a counselor and have a good. That means a counselor can help not to give idea. They can show if they talk out, they will be clear what to do next, because some people don't talk. They keep everything inside the heart and they
Yes.
confuse themselves a lot.
Yes, good.
So that's
That
my
is,
answer.
yes, good. So what about Mifla? What do you think?
Ma'am, it's like this neighbor, we know them, how are they and everything. So
Yeah.
we won't be like frank to them. If it's
Yes.
like counselor, we doesn't know, we will go like, no, we talk to them. Later on only we will know.
Yes.
So at that
Correct.
time, at that moment, we will start telling them everything. As a friend, we'll talk everything. But neighbor, we won't know because we will hide some other things because they
Yes.
are
Good.
neighbor. It's because of that we don't talk.
Yes. Good answer. And finally, what about Matu? I hope she can hear. Okay, anyways, so all of you all gave very good answers. So yes, correct. So why not talk to your neighbor? Because let's say now I have a problem. Okay, let's say I'm very upset about something and I'm so depressed, and then I go to my neighbor. Let's say my number is number 8. I go to my neighbor at number 9 and I tell her, oh my god, something like this happened to me. I feel so upset. I felt so embarrassed, and I tell all my personal details to her. So following morning I wake up, so all my neighbors know the story. Number 10, number 11, number 12, my entire lane gets to know that I had a problem. So what has happened there? My neighbor, of course, she wouldn't care for me. She'll be happy that I had a problem. Maybe she has shared it to other people. Okay, maybe I told her not to tell it. I was too emotional. I told all my personal details, and then she has gone and told from house to house. So what happened there? There was no confidentiality. Of course, you can't trust your neighbor. Today she might be my best friend, and tomorrow when something happens, then she might, of course, go and tell my problem to everyone else. So then I won't feel protected. My privacy is not secured. Okay, and then again, like one of you said, because it's my neighbor, I might be hesitant to reveal all my problems. Yeah, I might think, okay, she will judge me. Okay, now let's say my neighbor is Mrs. Fernandez. I say, Mrs. Fernandez, see, I had a, let's say I had a breakup, and then this boy cheated and something like that, and then certain things I might feel embarrassed to tell, because tomorrow I have to face her. If I tell all my problems, she's going to judge me. Okay, I have that kind of concern inside my head. And then let's say another problem is, how can I guarantee that Mrs. Fernando is going to give me the right solution? Okay, she only knows one perspective of the problem. Okay, she only would think from her point of view or my point of view, but there can be many angles to the problem. So let's say Mrs. Fernando tells me to do something. She will say, okay, um, that boy cheated on you. What can you go to the police and make a complaint? So that will be Mrs. Fernandez's advice. It can go right, it can go wrong. So there is no guarantee that talking to my neighbor can give me a solution. So likewise, there are many pros and cons. Okay, so that means simply saying, we cannot trust 100% that this neighbor will keep a secret to herself, him or herself. So instead, we suggest or recommend people to go to a counselor. So as counselors, one of our main rules or ethics in counseling is to protect the confidentiality of the client. So let's say different clients will come from, I told, from a headache to a suicidal client. So then we have to protect their privacy. Okay, they are going to reveal all their problems to us because they trust us. They trust, okay, this counselor is not going to tell my problem to anyone. Okay, so we have to protect their confidentiality. And also, counselors are expected to be non-judgmental. So we are not going to judge a person based on their problem. So there are many ethics and principles in a counselor to practice. So simply, we suggest and we recommend people to always go to a counselor to talk about their problems instead of talking to a random person, where they will not they will rather direct us to a wrong decision. So instead, we say counselors are open to people's problem, and we sit with a counselor and we find solutions to our problems. So as we go on in today's lecture, I will discuss about these counseling principles about confidentiality, privacy, and being non-judgmental, etc. There are so many skills that we need to practice. So let's look at these in point form, whatever I discussed. Counseling will help people to clarify what is important to them in their lives. Okay, so they will get us in touch with our inner resources. They will empower us. They will say, okay, you can do better than this. You're, just because you had a problem doesn't mean you have to end your life. You can do better. And then in the exploration of feelings, thoughts, and meaning particular to them. So maybe I'm depressed, right? So I'm only thinking of negative thoughts. I want to end my life. Why did this happen to me? Why am I like this? I'm horrible. I'm a horrible person. So all my thoughts and emotions are negative. When I go for counseling, a counselor will help me explore the positivities in my life. He or she will try to give meaning to my life. Sorry. And then counselors are also offering support at a time of crisis. So as counselors, we are expected to be available to our clients any time of the day, right? So let's say a client calls at 10 o'clock and says, ma'am, I want to commit suicide right now. What do we tell? I'm very sleepy and I can't talk to you now. Call me tomorrow. Are we going to do that? No. We are immediately going to attend to our client and support them at the time of crisis. If we say we are sleepy, following morning you get to see on news that this person has already committed suicide. So we have to be available and offer support at these crisis situations. So we also have to support during developmental and transitional period. So let's say a client is coming for the first, second, third session of counseling, right? So they are depressed and they want to get over it. So there are changes from point A to point B. That means from sadness to happiness. There is a transitional period. So we have to be available for them to support them throughout that as well. And also counseling will help people to work through stuck issues, maybe involving integrating childhood experiences. So maybe let's say I'm depressed because of something that happened to me when I was 5 years, right? So I'm still thinking over it, thinking, worrying, being sad and depressed, and it's stuck in my head. So when I go to counselor, the counselor will dig deep. So I will not tell about my childhood problem. I will say I am depressed, but the counselor, his role will be to dig deep into my problems and find the root cause. Then he or she will identify, okay, this person is having this depression because of this stuck issue that happened during his childhood. So, and then also finally the ultimate goal is to reach a solution to problem. So but as counselors, our goal or aim should not be to find solutions. So when we always think we are going to find a solution, sometimes we might, guide our client to a different pathways. Instead, our mindset should be, okay, I'm going to be available for this person. Let's see step by step, and then allow them to find solutions to their problems. Okay. So up to this point, did anyone of you have any questions? Did you all understand what we discussed? If you all have any questions, can ask. Amani, Hana, Mifla, Amna, any questions? Mathu has been silent. Mathu or Madhu, I think. If you all have, please ask. Okay, since none of, yes. Do you have any questions, Amna?
No, I
Oh,
don't have.
okay,
I'm
perfect.
clear. Thank you.
So assuming everyone else understood as well, so I will move on with the lecture. So we are looking at the role of a counselor. Hold on. Okay. So the role of a counselor, of course, is to help the client develop their own understanding of their situation. Okay. Like I told, we are allowing the client to get a better understanding of his or her situation and enable to explore aspects of their life and feelings by talking openly and freely. So we are going to allow our clients to talk openly, right? Because we are not going to be judgmental, because we are going to safeguard their privacy. We are going to keep their stories in a confidential way, right? So the skills required for this, the skills required to be a good counselor, okay? It requires a suitable personality, education, training, and hands-on experience, okay? So a personality, of course, is something that a person has to develop throughout, right? You can't just do a personality course or a personality degree anywhere. You just have to build it on your own, right? And then education, of course, you need to have a proper degree from a well-reputed institute or a recognized organization in order to practice as a counselor. So what we hear most of the time, someone will do a normal, I don't know, just they'll go for a 1 day workshop in counseling and they will say, I'm a counselor. And they will just go on advising people because they don't know the real essence of counseling. Right? People just go for a workshop or they do a 3 day training program saying, okay, I have a experience in counseling. I got this certificate from this institute. I'm a counselor now. Therefore, I can read people's mind and I can advise people. That is wrong. Counseling, you need to have proper education alone is not enough if you don't have the right training, which is why in all the institutes, once you have done your degree or along with your degree, they give a training or an internship. Some call it a placement as well. So it is important to have the right training under the right supervisors or the instructors. Okay. So then once you're done with the training, of course, you need to have hands-on experience. That is, again, initially you can start with a supervisor. You know, of course, we need the help of seniors to know if you are doing it right or wrong. At once, let's say you're done with the degree, done with the training, and let's say you start your own institute, sorry, own counseling center, then you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong, which is why you need to be supervised by a senior psychologist or a counselor or anyone. Okay. And then once you get the hands-on experience, you can assess if you are a good counselor. So how can you know if you would be a good counselor? You need to listen actively and attentively without inserting personal beliefs. So let's say when you say listen actively, now let's say this is a mostly it's a 45-minute to 1 hour session. Most of us we limit to 45 minutes per session. Okay. So throughout this 45 minutes, am I just going to listen and wait? Okay, listening means am I just going to stare at the person's face and allow him to talk throughout the 45 minutes? No. Active listening means I'm allowing the person to talk and I am responding through my gestures. Maybe I'm saying when the client says I feel so depressed and I feel so many things, and then I respond, I understand. I'm looking at the person. I'm having eye contact. I'm actively listening. I'm responding. I'm maintaining a good body language, and then I'm listening, which will allow the I'm showing my client that I'm listening, which will allow him or her to reveal more information, right? Rather than just staring at the person and looking and waiting, trying to show that you're listening, it is not going to work. We have to show them that we are listening attentively by this body language, and also maybe verbally we can say, yeah, I understand what you're going through, right? Rather than putting a personal beliefs. So let's say now let's say there is a homosexual person coming for counseling, right? Most of us we think, okay, homosexual relationships are not accepted, so this person is coming and talking about it. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to say, please stop, I'm not believing in these homosexual relationships, please don't come to me, you go. Am I going to do that? No. Instead, I patiently actively listen to this person's problem and then I respond. I'm not going to judge him or saying, okay, I don't believe in your problem, therefore I'm not going to help. No, we are not going to do that. We are going to be open to a person's problem, regardless of our personal beliefs. And of course, this will encourage the client to express themselves freely. Now, let's say this person comes, okay, let's say, let's say a politician comes for counseling, right? So he is like a thug, and he has the worst history of worst history in politics, right? In paper every day we read bad about him. So suddenly he comes to counseling. Okay, he comes to you for counseling. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to stare and frown and show the angry face at him? No, we are not going to do that. We don't care. When he comes for counseling, he is just our client. He's not a politician in our eyes. Okay, he's not that person who did so many bad things and the person we see or hear bad things. He's just a client to us. So we are going to be non-judgmental. Okay, we are not going to show bad signs from our face, or we are not going to say negative things to the client. Instead, we are accepting the client openly. We remain, third one, we remain non-judgmental. We are not going to judge. So all these skills would allow the client to open up to their problems. And then fourth one, we avoid worldly advice. So initially I told two types of counseling, directive and non-directive counseling. And I told as mental health counselors, we do non-directive counseling, which means we avoid advice. We don't tell what to do. When a homosexual person comes, we don't say, okay, I don't believe in these relationships, therefore you should leave this person. We are not going to tell that. And let's say the politician comes, I will not say, okay, stealing is against my religious beliefs, therefore I am not going to do counseling for you. We are not going to do that. Okay, we are not going to advise. We are going to sit with the person, talk through their problems till the end, and then we acknowledge their fear and pain and being empathetic. So how do we do this? Let's say a client comes saying, uh, his cat died, right? So mostly we see people crying and being depressed over the death of their family members, right? Let's say someone's grandmother died, and it's understood the person is going to cry and be depressed or upset for a few months or years, could be. Let's say someone comes and says, my cat died and I've been depressed for the last 3 months. Of course it's going to be a bit of a shock, because it's kind of not normal, which is why they've come for counseling. But are we going to say, ayo, what man, your cat died, are you going to be depressed for so long? Oh, you should get over it. Are we going to do that? No. As counselors we are going to acknowledge their fear. We are going to say, yes, I understand you have lost your best friend in your cat, you are in pain, I understand, okay. And then I take her through the counseling process. So that is known as being empathetic. If you all have heard of the word empathy, that is being empathetic. We are trying to understand the person's problem from the person's point of view, and that is empathy. It's simply saying putting yourself in the other person's shoes, right? So that person's cat has died, it's no big deal for me. Of course I wouldn't cry if my cat died. I mean, I wouldn't cry. So just because I don't cry doesn't mean someone else's trauma or sadness is not valid. She feels the pain, therefore I need to acknowledge and be empathetic as a counselor. Mainly, we have to maintain confidentiality. Initially, I discussed about this neighbor's problem, how Mrs. Fernando is going to tell all my problems to my neighborhood, going to tell to all the people in my lane. So as counselors, we are not going to be a Mrs. Fernando. Okay, we are going to be professional and maintain the privacy of the client's problem. We are going to maintain the 100% confidentiality of his or her problem. We are not going to even reveal his problem with a fellow counselor or a colleague. Let's say I'm a counselor, and someone comes for counseling and I'm stuck, I don't know how to assist. So when in that case, I might have to discuss the problem with some another counselor or a senior. But when I do that, I'm not going to tell Mrs. Okay, I'm not going to take Mrs. Fernando, Mrs. Pereira or Mrs. Joseph has this problem. She lives in Dehiwala, she's 35 years. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, okay, this person who came for counseling, she, she's 35 years, she has this problem, and this is where I'm stuck. How do I, can you please assist me to help this person? So that is how much of privacy we maintain of our clients. We are not even going to discuss with a fellow counselor. Okay, we need to maintain the utmost confidentiality of the clients. You are available and accessible to clients. So early or site home, we need to be available. Of course, I think all of you are girls, so it is not going to be easy for us to be available 24/7, right? So let's say someone calls me at 1 o'clock in the night, very chances are less that I might stay up and answer. These days I can, because the baby doesn't let me sleep. So of course if someone calls, I'm available, but if not, very rarely. But I have always told my clients, if it's not something urgent, please call me between 9 to 5. That is why we need to maintain our guidelines as well. Being available doesn't mean that we break our head and always look at the phone awaiting the calls from our clients. What we mean by being available and accessible is, we tell our clients, okay, you come for session once a week, but if you have a problem in between, you can call me, or you can even get an appointment and come. And if you have something like severe you can handle, you can call me even at nights, even beyond the times I've given you, right? So don't if you all are hoping to start practice as counselors, you should maintain your own standards and guidelines with the clients as well, right? 9 to 5 means 9 to 5 if it's not urgent, because we need to maintain our own mental health as well. So that this part I will discuss with you later on, how a counselor has to maintain his or her own mental health in order to assist someone else. That I will discuss later on. So 8th point, committed and motivated to serve and assist clients. So this comes with the passion. So most of us, we do counseling because we are passionate. We want to help people, we want to support, we want to make someone feel better, at least one person better for a day. Some of them, they do it for the name. Okay, I'm a counselor, I help people, I want to post things on Facebook saying I help this. That's what people do. They give something to a person and they keep capturing pictures and they put it on social media because they want to show that they did. Some of them, they involve in community work not for passion, right? So these kind of people, they do it for a month or 2 or 3 and they stop because they cannot commit and they are not motivated because they are not passionate. They were not doing it with a passion towards what they were doing. So if you are really passionate, then of course you will be committed and motivated to serve and assist clients day by day. So they are the people who do it for a longer period, like a long-term counseling or long-term social work. So this commitment and motivation of course comes with the heart, right? uh, and then ninth one, appropriately, the counselor, you appropriately handle your work-life balance. So this is very important, which I explained in the 7th point, being available, right? So just because we are passionate and committed in helping people doesn't mean that we put our own personal life at stake, right? We need to maintain a family life. If you're married, maybe your spouse and children, or if you're a child, maybe the parents and everything. So we need to balance. If you're working, you need to always know how to balance your work and life. Work should be at work. You don't take your personal problems to work and you don't take your work problems to home. So you need to always be able to handle your work and life environment better. So these are some of the main skills and some of the requirements that we need to practice if we are to be good counselors. During the session, these are very important to keep in mind, right? Active listening, like I told, not just staring at the face of the client and listening, right? We need to show that we are listening actively, using our body language, using verbal skills, using eye contact, and like not interfering and like not stopping them to talk. Secondly, reflection of feelings. Reflection of feelings. Let's say someone goes on and on and on, like tells about 10 things, and then I try to reflect what they told. Then I ask, okay, I understand you feel sad about the death of your cat. So I'm reflecting the feeling of sadness. Yeah, I understand you are sad that your cat died. So this encourages the person to tell more. The client will know, okay, the counselor has actually been listening. She has understood what I told. She has understood my feelings correct. So I should continue. Also, reflection of feelings allows the counselor to know if I understood her problem properly, right? Sometimes I may have not understood what she told because she said so many things while she was crying. So I try to reflect and ask, okay, you feel sad, is it? Then the client might say, okay, I'm not sad, but I'm angry. So then, as counselors, we will get another chance to understand the problem better. So it works both way. For the client also, it's good. For the counselor also good when we reflect the feelings of the clients. So paraphrasing is also similar to reflection of feelings, but in a broad way. So let's say reflection of feelings, you just say, "Ah, okay, I feel you're sad and you're upset about it, isn't it?" Paraphrasing means, okay, so Joanna, you told that your cat died 6 months back, and since then you haven't had your meals, you have lost weight, therefore you feel very distressed, right? So likewise, we gather the main points and we tell it back to the client. So again, it allows the client to understand that the counselor has understood, and the counselor will know if she has got it right, and also will allow the client to tell the missed points. When you paraphrase, the client also might say, ah, yes, along with this also happens. So then it will encourage her to speak up more. So apart from that, main thing, open questions, right? So just because the counselors are asked to actively listen doesn't mean we are going to keep our mouth closed throughout. We also have the chance to ask questions. So asking questions, there are two ways: open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. As counselors, we always need to ask open-ended questions. Open questions means questions that has answers rather than yes or no, right? So let's say, for example, if I ask the client, did you eat, right? He or she is going to say yes or no. Did you eat? No. Did you eat? Yes. So those two answers are closed answers. They are just going to say yes or no, and that's it. That's it. Okay. So if I ask an open question like, what did you eat? Then the client might say, I didn't eat. Or the client might say, I ate this and this and this, and she may be able to express more rather than saying just yes or no. We always have to ask open questions that also will allow the client to speak more rather than just asking something like a yes or no question. So make sure you ask open-ended questions. Then summarizing. So like reflecting feelings, like paraphrasing, summarizing is also another skill. That means, let's say, so you have come to the 40th minute of the session. So you know you're going to end it in about 10-15 minutes. So then it's important that you summarize the whole session. Okay, so you're gonna say, okay, Joanna, okay, you told these problems. So you said you are feeling these emotions and feelings. So as discussed, you're going to do these activities until you come for my next session. So I'm going to summarize. We discussed this. You're going to do this. You feel better at the end of the session. Okay, so we are going to summarize the uh, uh, whole session in about 2 or 3 minutes. And then it's important to terminate. Just because we're actively listening and being empathetic doesn't mean that we are going to allow the client to talk for hours and hours. We need to know where to stop. That is known as terminating. I know we are going to be kind and nice enough and, committed and etc, but we need to know where to draw the line. So we need to terminate it properly. So we're going to say, okay, we have come to the end of today's session. So we discussed all these things. So I hope to see you next week. If you have any questions, you can write or you can call me during these times, or if you have any emergency, you can get an appointment in between. So likewise, we need to know how to terminate in a very polite way. So what are these the skills and the principles, did you all understand on how hold on. Okay, I hope you all can see this. Do you understand how we need to conduct ourselves during the session, and even how we need to practice in order to be a good counselor? Any questions on that, girls?
No, ma'am,
Why?
it's clear.
No, it's clear. Why is everyone silent? Are you all asked to be silent, or are you all just recording and not listening to the lecture?
Listening to the lecture.
Sure, right? Because I'm going to
Yeah,
ask questions
Yeah.
yeah.
at the end of the session. I'm just going to find out if
Okay.
you all were actually listening.
Okay.
Okay, because there is someone named Mathu. Do you all know what her name is? Do you all know that there was a
Madhu, her name is.
Madhu?
Madhusha.
Her name is Madhusha.
Madhush.
Okay, Madhusha has been silent throughout. So I'm gonna ask Madhusha questions. I hope she's listening now. Okay. So what are the issues you all might face? So so there is Amna, Amani, Hana, Madhu, and Mifla. Okay. So what are the issues you all will face? How are you all going to manage them? Okay, you all need to assess yourself. So let me ask Amna. So you're a Muslim,
Yeah,
you're a young girl. So
yeah.
you might be having certain issues that you would think you might face when you do counseling. Can you name two?
Mm, yeah. Certain issues in the sense I may be facing problems with my family. One is they don't wanted to s- to send me to some counseling because already I speak too much, and if becoming a counselor, I will get too much
Okay.
onto that field. So
Okay.
one is that, and another part is only that part. Mainly, I have a problem for now.
Okay.
Later on, everything will be okay.
Okay, inshallah, we'll hope for the best. Which is
Inshallah.
why I said
Yeah.
most of the Muslim families they will have kind of restrictions, which is why I specifically mentioned that. Amani, what about you? What are the issues you might face? Amani?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not really sure.
You're not really sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So as of now, you don't think you will have any issues?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's hope for the best.
Thanks.
Okay, what about Hannah?
I don't have any issues.
So you don't think you will have any issues? So you think you're going to be available for the clients 24 hours?
Yes, I am. Hope
Wow.
this is my dream. So I'll help everyone to for their
That's
problems.
that's amazing. I would like to, actually when you start counseling, call you at 2 o'clock in the night and see if you actually answer.
I will.
Okay, that's a very good, positive thought. Way to go. And
Thank
what
you.
about Mifla?
I think I will not face any issues, but future, I don't know what will happen.
Okay, so you're not too sure at the moment. Everything seems fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try one last time with Madhu. Can we get an answer from you? Okay, no problem. So all the girls, you all are very optimistic and very positive. So I hope we can produce a bunch of good counselors in future who are going to be available to the clients throughout and are very passionate and motivated to serve the clients, to do better. So, okay, moving on. I hope you all don't have any doubts or gray areas here. If you all have, please ask me. I can explain again. So, okay, so now since you all don't have any issues, you all will not need to think deep on how you all need to manage them. But as you all start counseling, as you start practicing, of course, there are going to be certain areas that you all need to manage better. For example, in terms of the clients you all choose, some of them are very specific about gender. They only want to do females. Some of them only want to work with children. Okay, some of them are very specific about the age group, right? And then some of them, they don't want to deal with drunk people, like they don't want to do a drug addiction therapy. We have some of them are very specific about what kind of therapy they want to do. So, and then balancing the work life. So all these are going to be issues that you might face in future. So of course at the moment everything seems fine, but I'm not going to scare you. But then of course step by step, when you start, there are going to be certain not issues, certain concerns that you all will need to be able to manage better. So that of course you all will learn with experience as you start counseling. So and then those are the skills. So this you all will understand when we do case studies. So it doesn't seem like the university is going to reopen in a while, but if they do, then we can have one-on-one case studies. Sorry, yes, Amna, anything you need to ask?
No, no.
Okay, so we can have one-on-one counseling sessions. So then when you practice as a counselor and a client, then you all will be able to understand better on how to use these skills, right?
Yeah.
But for the moment, if we can, we will do a case study also, online. Then you all will be able to understand how to use these skills. So just because I say reflection of feelings, you might not know which part, which area to use. You're not going to reflect each and every feeling, so that's going to disturb the client. The client is going to think, okay, this lady is interrupting me, trying to tell the same thing that I'm telling. That might go to the head. Instead, we need to know where to tell, how to tell. Okay, so that you all will learn as we practice. So there are many types of counseling. Many types of counseling. I told directive and non-directive. So these are the non-directive counseling where we don't give advice. Okay. So dealing with mentally ill clients to help them overcome symptoms along with medication if necessary. Right? So as counselor, we don't we don't encourage taking medicine. right? We don't encourage our clients to go to a psychiatrist at the first place. We always say, okay, come for counseling. Let's try and solve the problem. And if you can't, if it goes worse, then of course, along with counseling, you can go for a psychiatrist. You can get medication as well. But mainly, we are trying to do our best in treating, sorry, not treating, in trying to help our clients overcome their symptoms or the problem through counseling, right? Why we don't encourage medicine is because it has a lot of side effects, right? Let's say I take a pill for depression. I may have um, I may have sleep disturbances. My depression may get better, but as a side effect, I will have problems in my eating patterns, sleeping patterns. It might lead to more problems. I'm not telling it's not good to get, I mean, it's wrong to get, but worst case, yes, we have to get medication as well. But mainly we encourage comfort counseling, comfort psychotherapy or any kind of therapy, and let's try and see. So mentally, some of the mental illnesses are depression, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety disorder. There are sleeping disorders, eating disorders, schizophrenia, so many. Okay. Since you all haven't done, uh, have you all done it on the introduction to psychology? Amani, have you all done some of these disorders?
No,
No,
not
you all haven't learned about the disorders, right?
I
We have
recent
did anxiety. That part we was doing. Hannah, we was doing disorder part, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, ma'am, we did
Recently we was
learning,
doing
yeah,
learning disorder
dyslexia and
and
everything.
and mood
yeah.
disorder, depression,
Okay,
Mood
Hannah, so you all have
disorder.
done depression, learning
uh, mo-
disorder,
yeah.
mood disorder, stress,
stress, okay.
and
Yeah,
anxiety.
the
Yeah,
anxiety.
answer.
So you all
Uh,
just did it
we did. Yeah.
on the
No, sir
introduction.
was explaining. Yeah, sir was explaining that part in this thing. That means learning disorder. Under learning
Ah,
disorder,
okay.
everything, he was explaining
So
that
this was
part.
Ilham sir's lecture.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay, got it. So anyways, there are so many disorders. So if I can, I actually need to check with your module first to see if you all have this module. If not, I can just simply explain in our next lecture, or moving forward, I can explain. So there are so many hundreds of mental disorders that are classified in the, uh, in these two, there are two main books or two manuals that has described these disorders along with their symptoms. So let's say depression, we think depression is sadness and crying, but there are so many symptoms that come under depression. That may be sleeping disturbances, eating disturbances, suicidal thoughts, headache, body pain, crying, so many, right? So likewise, when we do counseling, we are trying to not treat, sorry for using that word. We are trying to help the clients resolve or overcome these symptoms one by one. Initially, we might try to solve this person's headache. So we might say, okay, try, have you tried getting medicine? If not, what are you planning? Do you want to get medicines? Likewise, maybe the person will try getting Panadol to see if the headache gets better. If not, we will see what other options the client will try to try to get. Maybe the headache is because of no sleep, then we will try to see why there is no sleep. So likewise, step by step, we are going to discuss all these symptoms by talking to the client. Okay. So worst case, if we see no improvement, if we see, okay, counseling alone is not going to help, we ask, okay, why don't you get help from a psychiatrist as well. Okay. So this mental health counseling is not just one type. Okay, there are many therapies: hypnotherapy, counseling, cognitive behavior therapy, like speech therapy, drama therapy, art therapy. So many therapies come for different mental illnesses. So I told there are so many. So let's say I do cognitive behavior therapy for depression. It may not work well for schizophrenia, right? These are different disorders, so we need to use different techniques. So maybe when you all do the degree, there will be a module, because I have taught this for the BSc program about the different disorders and the different therapies that goes along with each and every symptom. So anyway, maybe in the BSc you all will learn. So for now, just know this mental health counseling, we help the clients to overcome these many symptoms. And then marriage counseling. Yeah, this is very common these days, because even on social media, if we see, people are asking recommendations for a good marriage counselor, because there are so many problems and differences in marriages these days compared to before. So working with men and women on assortment issues might include separation and divorce, step families, parenting, depression. People who come for marriage counseling, of course they come because they have problems in their marriages, or maybe they want to get married and they want to know if they're compatible enough, right? So maybe they come for marriage counseling. Maybe let's say I want to get married next year, and then I go for marriage counseling with my partner to see if we are compatible, if we have any differences, if we are able to sort it out before marriage. Or maybe I'm already married and I have severe problems with my partner, and then I want to go for marriage counseling to sort out my problems, right? So maybe I have children. I'm worried about getting a how do I say, stepfather or whatever, and then I'm worried about being a single parent. So all these issues we go and tell a marriage counselor. Maybe I have depression because of these marital issues, and then still try to discuss with the marriage counselor and try to overcome my problem, right? So if I have a problem in my marriage, I get counseling, right? So I get counseling, I try to solve the problem. But if I don't see a solution, doesn't mean I rely on counseling for 5-6 years. Yeah, so if I see the marriage doesn't work, then I get maybe legal support or something like that, right? But we try our best to go to a marriage counselor and sort out the differences. So, and then, okay, I can't see this. Hold on. Okay, so then there is family counseling. So just like marriage counseling, family counseling works with the entire family. So working with problematic families, of course, men, women, and children, to help them overcome issues among the family members. Might include the death of a family member, depression, parenting issues, or domestic violence. So let's say in a family, the grandmother died or the grandfather died. So if the entire family is grieving and they're depressed, no one is talking to each other, everyone is crying, no one is eating. So in this situation, they would be suggested to go for a family counseling, where each and every member will discuss their problem and try to improve the relationships with each other. So maybe the mother and father doesn't talk to each other because they're depressed. So in family counseling, they will do counseling for the mother and father, and of course to the children also, to try and make their bond better. Okay, just because the mother and father are depressed doesn't mean the children are going to neglect them. The children have a role to play in order to make the family environment better, right? So let's say the parents are having an issue in raising the children. Maybe the children are having childhood disorders. Maybe the children are having autism or ADHD, and the parents are highly worried. So this scenario, they would say go for a family counseling, talk to a family counselor, and then sort out on how you can be a better parent, on how you can better handle this parenting and the issues you have with your children. And then domestic violence. So let's say um, the father is beating the mother or something like that, then you go to a family counselor. You try to say, okay, these problems are happening, I need to get over it. Maybe the man is having depression, so maybe we need to treat the man's depression first, and then do family counseling to improve the family relationships. So recently the famous actor Johnny Depp and his wife, um, Amber, someone, I forgot her name. So both of them, they were married, and then they were having domestical issues. They were involved in domestic violence. The woman had beaten the husband, and have insulted, cut his finger and burnt him with the cigarette. Strange things, because we usually hear the man abusing the woman, but in this case the woman has over and over abused the man. So finally the man, I think, I don't know, the report says the Johnny Depp, the actor, has hit the woman back because he couldn't tolerate the abuse anymore. So then These issues, they could have ideally gone for a counseling before when they initially had the issue itself, but it aggravated and then it went on and on and on. Finally they went for legal help. It just got worse, and finally, unfortunately, the woman won. Okay, women get sympathy everywhere, even though they try to make sorry even though the man is the victim. Most cases it's the women who win a case because they get sympathy because they are women. So these cases under domestic violence or issues inside a family should always go for family counseling before it can get out of hand, because family counseling is very helpful for problematic families to resolve their issues. Anyway, so next one is addiction and substance abuse counseling. Like I told before, guys, hold on. Screen sharing. Um, that thing went. Okay, hold on, please. Okay. Okay, anyways, addiction and substance abuse counseling. I told before, we might have issues in selecting who our clients are, right? So initially, I was very specific that I don't want to do counseling for drug addicts. But when I went for the 3-month training, I had no choice but to work with everyone. So there were drug addicts, there were video game addicts, there were people with many issues. So I had no choice. I had to do it because it is my profession. So I somehow managed it. Just because I didn't want to work with these people didn't mean that I give up my career. I had to learn how to better manage it. So which is why I told you, as you go on, unless you have very strict restrictions about your career, like sorry, about your counseling, you need to be able to handle all cases openly. You need to accept everyone, right? So working with addicts and substance abusers, it is not easy. These are not the normal people who are going to come and tell, I'm depressed, I'm sad my cat died, or I'm sad my neighbor died. These are the people who come and tell you the worst things about how they started using drugs, how they are abusing different things. Maybe this is a person who abuses children, and maybe he interestingly tells you how he abuses children. So we need to deal with all these things. Not that we need to, but if you are committed and if you want to work, then of course you will have to, unless you have guidelines saying no, I'm not going to work with I'm not going to do counseling for addiction, right? So this includes alcohol, drugs, gambling, eating, shopping, or even sex. Substance abuse can include alcohol, illegal drugs, or even prescription drugs. So video game, Facebook addiction, shopping, they say shopaholic, or maybe someone is like overeating. So the abusing anything, right? Maybe abusing children, abusing money, abusing anything. Okay. So substances, mainly we say substance abuses are the are ones who use illegal drugs like marijuana, heroin, like ganja or anything. And then the prescription drugs. So there are people who who consume legal drugs. Like let's say someone has a habit of taking 6 Panadols a day, or maybe someone has a habit of taking sleeping pills like overdose. Maybe someone drinks excess of piriton. These are all abusing even the legal drugs. If someone is abusing, it's known as a substance abuse. So when we do counseling, we need to be tactful, we need to be mindful on how we can work with these people to help them overcome their problems. And then, sorry, hold on, just give me 2 minutes, please. Okay, I hope the screen is clear again. Where did I stop? Okay, child and adolescent counseling. So these are like child psychotherapist, and child and adolescent counselors. They deal with young people to help them manage with childhood issues and issues relating to young age. So mainly most of the people who do counseling, most of the girls, they like to work with children. They want to be child counselors, like special needs educators and etc. So when dealing with children is kind of very difficult, not very difficult, I think, how do I say, it's very different than working with adults. Why? The reason, because adults, they will come to you and say, I have a problem, these thing happened to me, I'm upset because of this. Whereas a child would just come for counseling and would not know how to express his or her problem. Maybe the mother comes and tells, my child is having a learning disorder, having a learning problem, therefore she needs help. Right? So it is up to us to get into the root of the problem. The child is not going to open up and say, ma'am, I have a problem with my learning and so on. Right? So it's going to be very stressful. It takes a lot of effort when dealing with children, when doing child counseling. Hold on, girls. You need to. Yeah, my baby woke up. Sorry about that. So next one, yeah. So working with children, it takes a lot of effort. So it's like a different entire, training that you need when working with children. Okay, because each child is different, just like how each adult's problem is going to be different. But different children, they're going to react differently. Some maybe they will not accept you as your educator, or they will not want you to be their counselor. They might show tantrums. Just because of that, we are not going to give up. We need to work patiently with them. Okay. So next one is trauma counseling. So working with adults, men and women, and the children who have been involved in domestic violence or some type of traumatic event. Client may be a victim or a family member. So trauma counseling. So let's say we had the 30-year war, right? So many people in the north, they are victims of this trauma. What is the trauma? The war. They hear bombs exploding every day, shooting, deaths, blood, so much of stressful things they see every single day. Of course, they are going to be traumatized. So these people, they need to go for trauma counseling. So maybe there are no specific segment as trauma counselors, or when they come for normal counseling, we need to do the therapy specific for this trauma, like sorry, there are disorders like post-traumatic stress disorder. Right? So when people come with PTSD, we need to be able to understand, okay, this person is not having depression, this person is having this problem, therefore we need to do this therapy, right? So this can be a victim of war, victim of tsunami, maybe a victim of domestic violence. Okay, maybe I'm traumatized because my spouse beats me every single day and I'm a victim of abuse. Maybe I'm a victim of childhood abuse. Maybe I'm a victim of could be a victim of a minor thing. It doesn't have to be a big war. It could be anything. Maybe I fell off a bus and it's so traumatizing that I was so upset and depressed for many months. I could be a victim of any kind of a trauma. Okay, so then I need counseling. If I am not able to manage it on my own, I need to seek counseling help. And then, sorry, finally, the worst thing to handle is suicide counseling. Dealing with suicidal clients is not easy, right? They're just going to come and say, I'm going to die. They will come to your face and say, okay, I came for the sake of coming. I came because my mom told me to go for counseling. I don't like to talk to you. I'm going to die. These are the kind of problems they will come and say. They're not going to tell you a fancy story like, what happened in their life. They're just straight away going to put the bomb and say, I'm going to die. So we need to have a lot of patience. We are not just going to say, okay, this person is going to die, what do I call, what do I do I call the cops, do I do I escape, what do I do? Of course you're going to panic, but you need to have a lot of patience. So let's say, for example, someone calls to you and says, I'm going to jump off the bridge. So what are we going to say? We are not going to panic. We are say, okay, we are going to we're going to try to distract the person. We're going to say, okay, you're going to walk toward your home, you're going to talk to the person who is next to you. So likewise, we are going to step by step distract the person and get his suicidal thought away from his mind. That is only if it's through a call. If it's like face to face, of course, we are going to patiently talk to the person throughout the session. So all these people coming for counseling, they come for counseling only if they are not able to handle it on their own. Let's say I feel depressed, and if I'm able to manage it on my own, if I'm able to discuss with a family member or a friend, and if I'm able to manage it, then that's fine. But if it goes out of control, if I think I am not able to handle it even on my own, I'm just going out of control, I feel so suicidal, and then that is when, of course, I will need help from a third party. So up to this point, any questions?
Ma'am, can you explain again trauma counseling?
Okay, girls, hold on. Please give me 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So trauma counseling. So let's say trauma means some kind of a shock that a person can't get over with. Okay, so like I told, a person initially someone came for counseling because the cat died. That is a shock or a trauma. But if I'm able to manage the death of my cat, and if I can get over the sadness in 1 week or 2 weeks, then I'm considered normal. But if the death of my cat is bothering me more than 6 months, and if I am not eating properly, if I'm not sleeping properly for more than 6 months or so because of the death of my cat, then of course that is not considered normal. So then I am being affected by this traumatic event, right? So then I go for counseling, right? So there is a specific disorder named post traumatic stress disorder, which is known as PTSD. So people with PTSD can be victims of many traumatic incidents. Maybe he is a victim of a car accident. Maybe he broke his leg. So every time he sees his broken leg, he is traumatized. He is worried and shocked that I have a broken leg. It happened because of this accident. Maybe I was in Jaffna. Every day I hear bombs exploding. So even after the war is over, I can still see bombs and blood and etc. That means I'm affected by this shocking event. I am traumatized. Maybe I'm married and my husband beats me every day. Let's say let's say even after my husband became good and he stopped beating, and then we went for marriage counseling, we have a happy marriage, and still even after being happy, if still it's bothering me, if I still keep worrying about my husband beating me, that means I'm affected by this shocking series of events. I am traumatized. Therefore, we consider these people as victims of a specific trauma. Then we do different kind of therapies for them, right? So there are specific therapies. I will teach it for all under therapies. So these victims can be as a family member, can be a child even. So let's say a child is abused. Okay, maybe in the nursery, maybe the assistant teacher has abused his child. So as a child, the child will not know that he or she has been abused. Oh, the child will not know he or she has been abused by this teacher. But when they grow up, when he or she becomes 16 or like 12 or 16, then he will learn. So let's say it's a he, okay? So he will learn that these things, like a person touching you inappropriately or doing some kind of a unwanted activity is wrong. At the age of 12, he will learn that these are wrong things. So he will recall, okay, when I was 5 years, when I was in nursery, this teacher did this to me, right? So at the age of 12, he is able to recall something that happened to him, and he will understand that was wrong. This thing that happened to me, I did not understand as a 5-year-old. As a 12-year-old, I understand it's wrong. Therefore, it's affecting my mind. It's affecting my young mind that as a child, I was abused. I'm a victim of abuse. So those are known as pedophilia, okay, like big people abusing children, that's a separate entire segment of disorders. So then he will know I'm a victim of a pedophile. I was being abused, I'm a victim, so therefore I'm traumatized at the age of 12 for something that happened when I was 5 years. So all these, they need to go for counseling. Okay, so was it Amna who asked the question? I didn't see the name. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it was Hannah. Okay, so it's clear now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we have like therapy is okay, therapy for children. So up to
Uh,
this, other than Hannah, yes, Amani.
no, I don't have a question. I understand properly.
Okay.
But one thing, I'm trying to get the short note during the lecture, but if you don't mind, can we get this tiered? Do you mind to upload it so we
Yes,
can get the
definitely.
printout?
So do you all have a group, WhatsApp group?
Yeah, Hannah's
Okay.
conducting the group.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll send this to Arsha and I will ask her to forward it into your WhatsApp group. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Because
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
that's what I do with all the other batches. So I send it to usually I am in the groups, but I've left all the groups since I haven't done lectures for the last 2-3 months. So I can send it to Arsha and she will forward it to your group.
Thank you.
That's okay,
Okay.
right? Okay, great.
Okay.
So up to this point, no questions. Everyone have understood different types of counseling, uh, mental health, marriage counseling, family counseling, addiction, child counseling, trauma counseling, suicide counseling. There are many other types of counseling as well. But for the diploma, this much is enough for you all to know that there are these kind of issues in the society, right? So the types of therapies, this is like a broader area, but since we have like only 10 minutes, I will just briefly explain it to you all. We have, yes, 10 minutes. So the types of therapies, so client-centered therapy or person-centered therapy, right? So as you'll understand, client-centered means client is the center of the therapy, okay, which means client is the center of attention, which again means that we are allowing the client to talk. All focus is on the client. We are not going to sit and tell, okay, you do this, you take Panadol, you apply Siddha labor. No, we are not going to do that. We are allowing the client to talk, open up, find the solution on his or her own. Focuses as much on the client as possible. The therapist provides little authority or direction. Of course, we are not going to show any kind of authority. We are not going to be like, oh, I'm a counselor, I have a degree from this university, I got training from this doctor. We are not going to have that in our mind, and we are not going to overpower the client. Just because the client has come with a problem, we're not going to sympathize and say, "Ayo, what a pity, what a life you have. You know, my life is better. Look at me, I'm sitting in this couch and advising you." We should not have that kind of mentality, right? It's going to be non-judgmental. We are going to be accepting the client for who they are. Of course, we are not going to direct them or give advice or give instructions. One of you said people go for advice, for counseling. People have this mindset, okay, I'm going to a counselor is going to advise me. That's what people think, but we are not going to advise. Instead, we are allowing them to find the solutions if they can on their own. So instead, the counselor offers subtle guidance and encourages the client to take control of their destiny. Exactly. So we are allowing them to take control of their life. Our role is to empower them. We are going to say, you're not weak. Okay, just because you had a problem doesn't mean it is the end of your life. You have this kind of positivities in your life. You said, okay, maybe for example, a simple example. Let's say, okay, you said your cat died. That's your cat died, but let's focus on your dog. You at least have your dog who can also be your best friend. So that's just a simple example. So likewise, maybe even the major issues, we can focus on the positivities and allow the person to feel good about themselves. So again, client-centered therapy was founded by a famous uh, Carl Rogers. He was one of the most influential psychologists in the history of psychology, who firstly invented the client-centered therapy. also known as talk therapy, where what we practice in the current context. Next one is CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. So I assume you all have know the word cognitive. Cognitive means basically the mind, right? And how we think, our thought processes. He's sleeping. Our thought processes. Okay, so cognitive behavioral therapy means we are focusing on a person's thought processes and also focusing on the person's behavior and trying to do a therapy based on both of these, right? So CBT treats dysfunctional thinking that leads to maladaptive behaviors, negative emotions, and mental illnesses. So of course, when we have negative or dysfunctional thinking, we will of course have maladaptive behaviors. So let's say I think my life sucks, I don't feel good about anything, I'm always negative, right? I'm always negative, worried, I'm hopeless, etc. So that is known as dysfunctional thinking. That is the cognitive part. Then when I'm always negative, what do? I start drinking. Say what, life is useless, no hope, even if I'm anyway going to die, so let me drink and die. So that will lead to a maladaptive behavior. So that is the behavioral aspect. So when we do CBT, we try to help the person overcome the thinking and the behavior as well. We're trying to help them overcome these negative emotions. We are trying to see why he thinks his life is hopeless. Why are you thinking you have no future? Focusing on that, we are trying to help the person overcome his drinking behavior, right? So CBT focuses on both these aspects. Next one is existential therapy. Emphasizes helps clients manage aspects of the human condition, including the rules of the human existence. So it's kind of deep, which most of us aren't practicing. So we are going deep into the person's life. We're trying to see the purpose of his or her existence. Where if someone says, I feel suicidal, I feel hopeless, we're discussing the many aspects of the client. We're trying to say, okay, maybe you have failed in your career, but at least you have a happy family life. You need to exist, you need to survive at least for the sake of your family. Or maybe you have a failed marriage, but you have a good career. You have a good education, you have a good career. Maybe God sent you to serve people. Maybe you can do better for the society focusing on your career. So existential therapy focuses on such things to empower people to give a meaning for their existence. Gestalt therapy. Gestalt means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so that is a broad area. Simply saying, we are helping the client focus on the personal responsibility and focusing on the present. Also stresses the development of the therapist and the client relationship, or the rapport. Rapport building means building the relationship between the therapist and the client. It is very important that we maintain a good relationship. If the client doesn't trust us, he is not going to tell all the problems to us. Right? So it's important that we gain the trust by listening, by reflecting, by paraphrasing, by showing good body language. We need to gain the trust of the client and build a good rapport, or the relationship between the client and the therapist. So gestalt therapy focuses on the present. So some therapies, they only focus. Now for example, the next one, if you all can see, psychoanalytic or psychodynamic, which is founded by Sigmund Freud, focuses on the past, right? They're mainly focusing on the past. But gestalt therapy, they're focusing on the present. They won't think it is because of your childhood abuse. They will think it's because of something that happened today, or something that happened this month or this year, that has caused your problem. They will not dig deep into your childhood or when you were a toddler or an infant. Okay. And gives the responsibility to the client. They will say, you are responsible for your problem, therefore you need to find a solution on your own. So next one is psychoanalytic or psychodynamic. Was founded by the most famous psychologist, Sigmund Freud. He was a neurologist, I think. Yes. So Sigmund Freud explores the unconscious feelings and the impact of the past on the present. So like I told before, this kind of therapy focuses on the past experiences. They mainly say it's because of something that happened in your childhood that is causing you to behave like this as an adult. It is the oldest type of psychotherapy and the closest to what Freud created. So Freud means Sigmund Freud. He always focuses, not always, most of the time focuses on what happened to a person when he was a child. Okay, maybe I'm having depression now. In a psychodynamic therapy, they might say, okay, it could be because someone abused you when you were a child, or maybe you were deprived of the motherly love, something like that. They will try to direct the problem issue to our childhood issues, childhood experiences. So next one is dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, uses a problem solving and acceptance based framework, usually to treat and serve chronic mental health conditions and issues. So this is a broader area. Okay, so let's say someone comes um, with a smoking problem. Maybe someone is a chain smoker. He's smoking about 15 cigarettes per day. Maybe it's too much, I don't know. Maybe he's smoking 30 cigarettes a day, which sounds too much. So he wants to get over this problem, but quitting smoking is very difficult. So instead, step by step, under dialectical behavior therapy, we might talk, we might do counseling, and then we might use a strategy. Instead, I might tell, uh, uh, maybe why don't you start chewing gums? Okay, maybe you can use chewing gums instead of cigarettes, or maybe something. They have alternatives like replacements for cigarettes. I don't know what it is called, but why don't you try this? Maybe this will give you the same effect of using a cigarette, and it is less harmful. So likewise, dialectical behavior therapy suggests the clients to use better strategies to overcome their problems. So again, girls, I had to quickly, like briefly explain these therapies, but again, like I said, I will check your module and try to see if you all have a module on the therapies, and I will deeply discuss on how you need to do all these therapies for different disorders. So up to that point, have you all understood all these therapies? Just briefly,
Yeah.
because
Uh,
yes.
Sorry, miss. The first one you said client-centered therapy. Hello.
Yes.
The first one, client-centered therapy. Is it the same as humanistic
Yes. What
therapy?
about that? Yes, tell me. I can hear. Humanistic. Okay. The
Yeah. Is it the
humanistic
same?
means we are focus. Yes, correct. Humanistic. It's a school of psychology. It comes under this client-centered therapy, founded by Carl Rogers. So that also
So
focuses.
are
It
they
says
both
all
same?
human are humanistic. Yes, similar, not same. Similar.
Ah, okay.
Okay, and it is also founded by Carl Rogers. So it's like the same branch of psychology, the school of psychology. So other than that, any questions, girls? Have you all understood what we did so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
yes, ma'am.
So then I will send this handout to Arsha. If I am unable to send it tonight, because my baby woke up like 20 minutes back, so I have to attend to him. So if I am unable to send it tonight, I will definitely send it by tomorrow morning. Okay, I will send it to Arsha and I will ask her to forward it to you all. So meantime, if you all have any questions, you all can like write and keep and ask me next week in our next class. Is that fine?
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you.
I hope the lecture was useful and you all understood. If there are any areas of
Yeah.
improvement, I am free. Sorry, I am open for it. You all can suggest what areas I need to do better for your next lecture. Since it is a first class, let me know. Okay, girls.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so
thank
I'll
you.
Thank you.
talk
Thank
Thank
you
to you.
you.
so much.
No problem. No problem. See you
Thank
all
you
next
so
week,
much.
girls. Good night.
Sure.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.